Welcome to the Business Spotlight. My name is Jada Walker. I am your host for today's conversation, and my guest today is Park Howell. He is the founder and host of the Business of Story. We'll be talking about his business, journey to business ownership, challenges, best practices, and share a peek of what it's really like to build and operate a business. So, Park, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here today. I would love for you to give us a little bit of your background of who you are and tell us a little bit about your business as well.
Well, thank you, Jada. It's an honor to be here with you all today. And thank you for all you watching and listening to this particular episode. Yeah, Park Howell, Business of Story. I've been in the branding, advertising, marketing world for 4 decades, 40 years. And I ran my own ad agency for 20 of those years in Phoenix, Arizona called Park & Co. And along about the early 2000s, I really found storytelling in business and leadership and brand development. And the reason why it hit me at that time is because we were inundated, just started the inundation from social media, e-commerce, websites, and whatever. And it changed the whole landscape of how to brand and market, advertise a company. And so I went in search for an answer, and I found it in Hollywood, actually. Our son Parker went to film school at Chapman University, it'd be 2006, 2010, and that's in Orange, California, a very prominent film school. And I asked Parker, I said, send me your books and your recorded lectures when you're done with them, since I'm paying for them, because I want to know, what does Hollywood know about storytelling to really get brands to stand out in the world? And that's where I found the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, and it hit me like a ton of bricks, Jada. This framework to story basically mirrors all of our customer journeys, our ownership journeys, our personal journeys. And I thought to myself, if Hollywood knows this so well, how come nobody has ever taught it to business owners and marketing leaders and so forth? So I took it upon myself to do just that and use it in our own world. And I created what I call the 10-step story cycle system that I captured in my book, Brand Bewitchery. And it is a guide that takes brands, business owners, through the brand development process to create it as a narrative that your audiences can really relate to. Conversion rates for all your marketing goes way up when you speak in story to your audience from their point of view. So we had tremendous success with it, building some brands by as much as 600% using my system. And then I had people showing up and asking me, can you come and teach us this? Can you train my people on this? I had Arizona State University show up and said, would you teach a master's program in our School of Sustainability on how to use story to change behavior and activate and motivate people? So I did, and I loved it. And now we're talking about early 2010 to 2015. And that's when I realized that I wanted to make a major career shift. And that was from being an agency owner to now consulting, teaching, coaching, and speaking on the power of story. And I do that internationally with very, very large brands from Walmart Canada, United States Air Force, Dell, Intel, Life 360, you name it. And so I wrapped up my agency, and this is what I do. And I still do some branding work for some folks, but I am really keen on teaching people these three narrative frameworks that are unbelievably powerful. One's called the and, but, therefore. I call that the DNA of storytelling, that you can use this framework in all of your messaging to be able to hook into, as I say, hack through the noise and hook into the hearts of your audiences. And the and, but, therefore, ABT works because it uses the three forces of story, of agreement, contradiction, and consequence, that our primal pattern seeking, problem solving, decision making, limbic buying brain loves. It loves to get information delivered to it in this way. Then I teach an expanded ABT called the 5 primal elements of a short story for big impact. And Jada, this is when you can tell a little anecdotal story in under a minute that makes your business point for you. And that's important because people will argue with your opinions and your assertions all day long, but they won't argue with a true story well told that makes your point for you. And then finally, our larger 10-step story cycle system for long form communications, for large brand narrative strategy development. Um, and so that's what I do today is I teach people about these frameworks and I help brands. And I've got a new AI platform called the Story Cycle Genie that enables business leaders, sales and marketing folks to be able to craft a vibrant brand narrative strategy in minutes, not months, at about 99% of the cost or of 99% savings over the old way of world-class brand development. It enables you to create campaign strategies and always on brand content. And it is the only platform out there that is narrative based, meaning embedded in it is the and, but therefore our 5 primal elements of a short story, and it's all guided by the 10-step story cycle system. So users don't have to know a thing about story. They don't have to be story theorists or strategists, and they don't even have to know anything about AI. It's all bespoke, built in, and will work for them.
That is crazy. I'm like, you just kind of blew my mind because I'm like, it does all of that in one little thing.
Well, yeah, it took us 2 years to build it. And we created it again from my story cycle system. So it's all totally guided by this proprietary process that there's no open AI or general AI that can do this for you. And it's built on our another proprietary platform called Brightsea, which is like a fortress of communication and information when you work on our system. There is no AI that can find it. There is no competitor that can find it. It's all locked down to your business. And so, what would have normally taken me 2 to 4 months to create a brand story strategy for a customer using our system and charging up to $50,000 for that, we have reduced that down to about 2 hours. And you pay for a subscription and you save about 99% over the old way of doing it. And yet you get all of the benefits immediately. In fact, we ran your brand story through the Genie in preparation for this interview.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, so to set the stage for our viewers, because I'm like, that's a lot. So
Yeah.
to set the stage for our viewers listening, generally speaking, what does your current ownership structure look like? Like, are you just the sole founder, or do you have any outside investors or anything?
No, I'm a sole proprietor. And when I ran our
Awesome.
agency, Park and Co., my wife and I, we were the principals in it. And it was all self-funded. Have never had any outside investors. I learned, my dad said, always spend less than you make. And so that's always been our business model. And, just really uber serve our customers, deliver the goods, and then measure ROI so that they know what they're investing in us, they are getting an appreciable return. So that's the way I run the business of story, same way.
Cool. I like how you and your wife are kind of like working. I don't know if you guys currently are, but you were working together. Like I love whenever I hear stories like that because most of the time people butt heads with their family. I know I would in a business, so I love when people can actually work with their families. It's really cool to me.
Well, she came up through the advertising world too. And while we were together as principals in Park and Company, she really took another avenue and went into interior design. She's just a brilliant
Oh, cool.
designer. So her world was about that. So she had a little bit of hands-on operation in our agency, and she does almost nothing in business of story except prop me up and proofread my stuff and whatever. They used to call her Miss Spell at her other agencies because she's such a brilliant proofreader. But now it's pretty much me running it from day to day.
Cool. Okay. That's good to know. So many business owners, especially those that are newer to entrepreneurship, they feel as though they never have enough time. So I'm of course curious, based on your experience, since you've had so much time in this career, if you have, if you, wow, if you were to have an extra 10 hours each week, how would you invest those hours? Like it can be in the business or personally, however you would like.
Yeah, I already have that. I have 15 to 20 extra hours every week because I'm eating our own dog food. I am using our Story Cycle Genie for all my strategy and all my content development. I collaborate with it. It doesn't replace me. It is like a second mind in the room. And so that has freed me up for about 15 to 20 hours. And because I'm a little bit longer in the tooth in my career, I spent a lot of those time walking our Golden Doodle Hazel, a 5 mile hike up to Crystal Point in the mountains. My wife and I love to play golf. We go and see our kids. As we mentioned earlier, we'll be out to Austin, Texas to meet our new granddaughter. So I'm using it much more for my own personal leisure time and or researching. I do a lot of reading. I've got a podcast that I've hosted called The Business of Story for almost 10 years now. And every Monday, I bring a new story artist on from around the world. I'm nearing 550 episodes. And so I'm doing a lot of reading in
Wow.
preparation for those particular interviews, which then levels me up. And so I can help my clients in their brand development and really in their Story Cycle Genie work. I will do a lot of guided demos with that. But it has just freed me up so I don't have the day-to-day drudgery of the minutia of running a company. That's the beautiful thing about the advent of AI. When done right, and you really have a strategy going in to use it, it can free you up immensely with operations, with brand building, with content development, and it doesn't have to replace you. It doesn't have to replace your people. That's what a lot of people fear,
Yeah.
but it can absolutely amplify your impact in the world.
Yeah, because when I was working in leasing, and whenever ChatGPT first came out and people were talking about it, it was like all the rave. And I was just like, I don't think I want to get into that. I don't know. I was one of those people I was just like, no, I won't do that. I'll actually do my work. But then I came across one of our friends here in Austin. He like went into detail how he uses it for his job to help him. He's like, I still read it, I don't just copy and paste it or whatever like a lot of people do. But he was like, it actually helps me more and like saves me time. So then I was like, oh, okay, you didn't change my mind. And then I actually just learned yesterday there's like a special chat GBT that like some school teachers use. I don't remember what she said it was called, but she plugs in like her classwork for her students and like it does all these different things. And I was just like, that is so crazy. Like AI is just blowing my mind now. So I'm
Yeah.
fully in.
No, it's great. And I'm really glad, Jada, to hear you're embracing it because if people don't, if they just fear it and push it off, instead of being a deer in the headlights, I see them as being a dinosaur in the headlights.
Yes.
The license plate on that car is AI. And so, it's like computers, it's like social media, it's like Illustrator, Photoshop, any of this technology that made us better as business operators and owners and communicators and artists and creatives. Well, this is just that. AI is, it's on steroids though. And
Yeah.
it's not going away. It's here. So
Not at
I
all.
really, really highly recommend anybody and everybody to embrace it. You don't have to take on the whole thing because it can be overwhelming, but find a niche in your business. Find an operation or a system that's not working for you. Build a strategy on what absolutely you want it to do and have to make it do, then go to AI to enact that strategy. If you're not exactly quite sure what that strategy should be, ask AI. Give it here's my problem, here's what I'm trying to make happen. What would you recommend? And it'll give you a whole host of recommendations that will then level you up. And then you pick and choose on which one you think is going to be most applicable for your business. And then go back to that AI and build that application out.
Exactly. Yeah. That was like the perfect answer for anyone that doesn't use AI yet.
Yeah.
That was
You don't want to be
perfect.
that dinosaur in the headlights.
Not at all. Okay, so before we get into the nitty gritty of the business itself, let's go back into your background a little bit and see what led you here. So, why did you decide to go into business for yourself as opposed for working for someone else?
Because I'm a horrible employee. I have, I am, I suppose, type A lot of ambition, a lot of ideas. And whenever I worked with anybody else, I always felt like I was pulling them along. Come on, let's go. We could do this. We could try that.
Mm,
Well, settle down, Park. Maybe not so fast, whatever. And so I knew early, early on that I would be running my own company. My dad ran his own company. I'm one of 7 kids, and 5 of us run our own companies. I think it's in our DNA. I think it's in how we were raised. And you want to be kind of the captain of your own ship. So
yeah.
when I was in college, I studied music composition and theory. You can see my keyboard back here. I wrote a lot of music back in the day, but I also realized that, yeah, I probably would starve to death as a composer. So I also studied journalism and communications because I figured I could make a living there. And I'm so glad I did because I got into the advertising world, which I was always enamored with. But what I learned about music and how it works, and chord progressions, and melodies, and time signatures, and rhythms that I have used throughout my career in writing and producing videos and pretty much any sort of communication I've done. And now jump way ahead, 30 years into my career. I realized that I now was really studying story composition in theory, and the parallels between that and music are unbelievable. It's a universe of connection. And so it really helped me be able to teach people how to use the composition and theory of business storytelling to help them accelerate the growth of their companies, help them connect better with their people, help them to attract and retain top talent because you are all living into and contributing to the same story, the same powerful narrative that drives your business forward and that elevates all the people you serve, from your colleagues to your customers to the communities you serve.
I love that. I actually just had someone the other day say that they felt that they were unemployable as well because they have this drive and they're just like, I'm leaving everyone behind, but just like you. So
Yeah.
I do actually believe it's like in your blood. I don't think I have that in my blood. I need it in my blood, but yeah,
Oh,
you
I
people
don't
who
know.
have that,
You're hosting this show. That takes a lot of guts and
I
fortitude.
mean, truly, you're right. You're right. But yeah, if I could start my own business, oh, it would be over with. It would be over with.
Oh, you never
But
know.
yeah, so as you look back on your journey so far, what has been the most memorable, sorry, I can't speak today. It's like it's Monday. Roadblock or hurdle that you were challenged with and you were forced to overcome?
Dealing with bad clients, not having
Mm,
the guts to say no to people who I
mm-hmm,
knew were probably not going to work out in our culture and our agency, but I went for the money because I was growing an agency. I had a lot of people and their families that I felt responsible for that felt like I needed to feed. And then one leader gave me the best advice I had ever received. And I was telling her about this angst that I was feeling, that I was taking in bad clients because I felt like we needed the cash flow so that I could keep my people gainfully employed. And she told me,
mm,
Park, you are not responsible for them, you are responsive to them. So give them a culture that they like to work in. Make sure you outfit them with all the proper tools, the computers and the technology so that they can do their best work. Make sure you are responsive to them by giving them the guidance that they need and that they understand where their position is in this world you're building, and then give them every opportunity to be able to grow and expand. And that changed my whole concept of, I'm not responsible for them, but I will be responsive to them. And my first response was to fire all of those annoying, bad clients that were destroying our culture and making our people miserable. And then I went out and sure, we took a cash flow hit for only a little while, but then I found that we started really attracting in all of the right types of people. And that made a huge difference in our business.
yeah, I like how it kind of just turned around for you. Like you got rid of the bad and then it got way better for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost like life. Like you got to get rid of those people who are kind of just dragging you down or like weighing you down so that everything good can come for you.
Well, I have a filter for that now that I developed that maybe your listeners would like, and I call it my rigid and frigid filter. So if you
Rigid and
ever
frigid.
meet someone that wants to work with you and through your conversations, you realize that they're very rigid, that they're stuck in their ways. They probably aren't going to listen to you. And when things don't work out, they're probably going to blame you. That's the rigid filter. If they pass the rigid filter, say, no, they are actually open to doing things, then I put them through the frigid filter. And that means if they're jerks, if by frigid meaning cold, calculating, annoying people, then they don't get hired either. So I am hiring my clients. I'm not taking them on anymore. And if you pass the rigid and frigid filter, if you're open, if you are really going to enact what we suggest that you do, because that's why you're paying for us, and you're fun to work with, and like adding to our culture, then by all means you're all in. If you're not one of those two things, then there's no way.
No way. I get it. Yeah, I love that. So let's move on to what makes your business so special. Why or how do you think your competitors compare with you?
How do I think they compare with me? Well, I don't think they do. We all have to have our own niche. And if anyone watching and listening to this can say, I've got 10 competitors and here's exactly how they compare with me, then you've got a brand differentiation problem. You are all unique in your own way. You bring your own spirit, your own life to your business. And you need to get very focused on what that is, very clear first with yourself what that is. And then you need to make sure that that is imbued in how you go to market with your brand. So, I had said earlier before we started interviewing, one of my customers once said, Park, you are the world's most industrious storyteller. And I loved it. I said, I'm going to take that. I just love that tagline. So if I can maintain that and help companies grow through their narrative strategy, their campaign strategies, and always on brand content using story that really makes a difference, then I am the uncomparable world's most industrious storyteller. So it becomes an aspirational and accountability thing for me as well, because I have to
Yeah,
deliver on that promise. So nobody compares to me in what I do, and that is by design. I don't want to ever have another world's most industrious storyteller out there.
I love that. You're like, I'm one of one, and that's it. That's all you're getting.
That's what the way every brand's got to be, because otherwise you just will melt into a commodity. You'll
Yeah,
just be like everybody else, or you'll be like your three top competitors. And now you're not competing on abilities, you're competing on price. And guess what? The lowest price wins. There's no margin in that, and nobody wants to be there.
no, no, I love that. So this is actually going to lead me into marketing, which is something that's vital for every business. Of course, we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but I'm always curious what successful businesses are doing. So what percentage of your monthly sales is typically invested back into your marketing budget?
Well, I spend nothing on marketing. I
Really?
no paid advertising. Where my money goes, I suppose, is my MailChimp email list as I build community around my
Oh,
brand. So you'd call that a marketing expenditure. I buy no digital ads. I pay for no print advertising in any way, shape, or form, and or video. Now I've got a subscription for YouTube, and all of my work goes up on YouTube. So you could call that marketing expense. I've got a couple platform expenses here and there, but I have found the single most powerful form of marketing is word of mouth. And the only way to make that work is you've got to be present in your community, the community that truly embraces your brand because you're out there every single day helping them. And then getting them to share their story working with you with their world. And I call it the story cycle marketing flywheel. It starts by really identifying your uncomparable position in the marketplace and then delivering on that promise. The next part of that then is using story frameworks to tell the stories of the people you have helped, not to tell the stories about yourself and your product and your widget and whatever, because nobody cares about that story. Your
mm-hmm.
stories are not about what you make, but what you make happen in people's lives. And then get them to share their successes with their world. and then it begets the other. It becomes a flywheel of success that no form of paid advertising is going to be able to compete with.
I like that. And I am fully behind you with the whole word of mouth because I feel like that's how I hear about everything is just word of mouth or like I guess you could say influencers, but is that not the same thing as word of mouth? Like they're just telling you that they went there and you should go there too type of thing.
Yeah, but who would you believe more, Jada, if you were looking, let's say you're looking for a skincare cream, right? And
Oh
you
yeah,
see
this is
influencers
number
on
one for me.
that you don't even know these influencers. You just know they have these huge followings and you like them because they're fun online or whatever. And they recommend this jar of skin cream. And then your best pal shows up and says, yeah, that stuff's pretty good, but I love this stuff. Which one are you going to buy?
Definitely my friend.
Your pal. That's that
Definitely my friend.
first order of recommendation that goes above and beyond influencers. They are your ultimate influencer right there. So
Yeah.
that's the person that I want to influence. I want to be able to have really helped somebody, even like you, with like the story cycle system. And oh, can you hear my landscaper outside? I don't know if that's coming through or not. Um, that you say, wow, this process was so amazing. You've got to try it, and you can do it for free. You can go to the Story Cycle Genie, click on the little white button on the homepage, and get a free brand assessment to test the strength of your brand story. Gets them into the story cycle flywheel, the story system. They check it out. This is pretty cool. They try it. They go, wow, I mean, what I got out of this is unbelievable. Would you mind telling your world about that? Or can I record a video with you or a podcast of you sharing that story? And then everything expands.
Yeah. I didn't even think about it like that. But yeah, I love telling people everything and I love hearing stuff from my actual friends instead of I'll send something to my friend and be like, "Have you tried this?" And then she'll tell me if she has or not. I trust her fully. So, yes,
Yeah,
definitely I would trust my pal over anyone on the internet.
absolutely.
So you had mentioned earlier you have a few team members where possible. So I feel it is important to address the topic of building a great team. So how would you describe your leadership style in business?
My leadership style is responsiveness. I think, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, and I do have some virtual folks that work with me that help with the producing of the website or of the podcast. And I've got two gentlemen that are now partners with me on the Story Cycle Genie. And I think the idea is to go in with an open mind, have the courage to share your ideas and thoughts when you feel like it really is the right way to move forward, but then shut up and get feedback. Understand, what's in it for them too, and maybe you don't have the right decision. Just be open to everybody's suggestions, and if you have surrounded yourself with the right people, and they have all bought into your story or the story of the organization, then you're going to have tremendous success. But it takes an open mind, takes an open heart, it takes responsiveness, it takes parking your ego to the side sometimes and just listen, and then bring your best and go for it. And then measure the outcomes. Did it work or did it not work? If it didn't work, how do we need to pivot? What do we need to do differently? If it did work, can we amplify it? Can we make it work even better?
Yeah, because I've talked to people where they weren't really listening to me. They were waiting for their chance to be able to speak again, so they could just go on and on about themselves. So I like how you mentioned that because I was like, yeah, I've definitely experienced people just like that before.
Yeah, we all get into that mode.
hmm So what has been your approach to hiring and retaining your team members today?
Well, I don't hire and retain anymore. I did that
Mm,
back in the day, and it was always about talent first. I mean, I don't care what they know. I want to know how talented they are. Are they really good at what they do? And then what is their personality? Are they open? Are they going to be fun to work with? Are they going to bring something to the gang? I worked with this young lady, and I still work with her today, Marissa Hill. And she came to us right out of college back when I was running my agency, and what I love most about Marissa is she never waits for permission. She has
mm.
an idea, she executes on it and brings it to you, and you go, whoa, okay, hey, that's pretty good. And for the vast majority of her ideas, they were pretty solid. Some of them blew up, And when she would come back sheepishly and say, well, this didn't really work when I tried this, and we would just sit down and examine, why did that work? Let's learn from it and then let's do something again. But I never, ever wanted to dampen her spirit of being a self-starter and just going for it. And
Love
so that's
that.
what I look for, people that have talent, people that are fun, good people with the right beliefs and morals you work with, and that are absolute self-starters. And then let them go.
I love that, especially because I've had I've definitely been in different areas of work where I've had the person that will be like, what is it called? I'm trying to think of the word where they're like basically watching over you do your work. What is that?
Like a mentor.
Micromanaging. I'm like,
Yeah,
that
micro.
word was not coming to my mind.
Yeah.
Where they micromanage you, and then I've had jobs where my boss kind of just let me do my work and like didn't care as long as I got it done. They were like, that's fine. So I love like when bosses just kind of let you go with the flow and you just are a starter and you actually do your job.
Yep.
It's like everyone just flows together. So let's actually fast forward and look at what's to come next with your business. So where do you see your business in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, we see the Story Cycle Genie really taking off and helping democratizes branding so that anybody from a solopreneur to a large enterprise can get the same kinds of world class branding. And I see my role in that with some people they would go through the system and then they might hire me to come in and virtually train them and their people on these story frameworks and how to do it, or even help them activate what they've built here to just kind of level them up and teach them how to do it. Now, most people won't need that, but some people will. And
Mm-hmm.
quite honestly, I'm not looking for a lot of clients. I'm
Mm-hmm.
really interested in promoting the Story Cycle Genie, helping people use it so that they can experience this 99% savings in marketing costs and this 98% savings in marketing time. That is my big last final push in my career. How can I democratize it? Did you know, Jada, that only like 2% of all North American companies make more than $10 million a year in revenue? Only 2%. Some say
Really?
even 1%. So I'm for those 99. I mean, we're happy to help the 1%er enterprises. The Story Cycle Genie will do that. But I'm more interested in working with that small company. Maybe they're doing 500,000 in
Mm.
revenue, maybe 5 million in revenue. Maybe they're almost at that $10 million mark and they want to take it to 20 million. Well, they can do it now way faster and accelerate that growth using the Story Cycle Genie, saving them time, saving them costs. And our emotional promise in the Story Cycle Genie is to enthrall you. And
Mm.
I've seen that in our beta testers. I've seen it in a couple hundred brands that have been through it. When they see their story materialize before their very eyes, they literally get enthralled. And then they iterate within the Genie to make it even better. And what is their ultimate goal is to enthrall their customers about their product or service. And if you look up enthrall, that means creating the fascinated attention on something. And isn't that what every business owner wants? Is the fascinated attention of their colleagues, the fascinated attention of their customers on their product, business, or service. But then they've got to deliver on that fascination, on those stories to be able to accelerate that growth. That's what I'm looking for in the next few years of my career.
Cool. Well, I like that. So then, let's talk about goal setting a little bit because I feel like most people in business or just most people in general set some type of goal for something. So, what has been your approach to goal setting and how many goals do you like to set at a time?
Yeah, I don't do a whole lot of goal setting. I will do
Oh,
sort of like, 3 month, 6 month, 1 year goal setting. I do something that has been very effective for me every day, and I guess you could call it goal setting. And it comes from the book, The One Thing. I don't know if you've ever read
okay.
it.
No,
Fantastic.
I haven't.
Highly recommend it to anybody out there. The One Thing. He poses the question in the book, what is the one thing you could do today, this morning, that makes everything else irrelevant or unnecessary for that day, which then keeps you super focused. So
Yeah.
I might set a goal for the end of 2025. Like we want to get 100 paid users on the Genie. We're at about 50 right now. We launched it only 6 weeks ago, so we're doing pretty well with that. Um,
I was like, yeah,
so
6 weeks ago, that's a lot.
yeah. So we're doing pretty well, and it's growing, it's snowballing. There's a flywheel effect going on. So every day I go, okay, by January 1, 2026, I want to have 100 paid users. We've had over over 400 users of it through our beta program, or people that are testing their brand story for free, but paid users. So I ask myself, I look at my week, what's on my schedule that I have to do, from interviews to Genie follows to writing blog posts and whatever. But then I will go every day. What is the one thing that I need to accomplish today that might make 4 or 5 or 6 other things that I thought were necessary, makes them unnecessary and irrelevant to achieving that overall goal. So I try to keep it down to bite-sized chunks. I don't have these big, expansive goals. Mine are much more, imminent. What's happening right now in my life to be able to achieve that year-end goal.
Like that. And I may backtrack a little bit because we didn't really talk about this, but for your paid users, how how much is like the, I guess, is it like a subscription that they pay for?
So we've got 3 levels. We have a monthly startup plan at $199. And that gets you an X amount of credits to work within it. But I can tell you, for that $199, anyone can go in there, create their complete brand narrative foundation, their individual audience stories, their content playbook, all building in the brain of the Genie, a marketing strategy, and even content for under $200. That would have, the old fashioned way of doing it, depending on who you are hiring to do it, would have cost you between 20,000, 50,000, or $120,000. So you can do it
Oh
that
my
way.
gosh.
Now, say you've got a number of users on the Genie in your company, you'd probably want to level up to the growth plan, which is $500 a month. That buys you a lot, additional credits to use at a 20% discount. So you have much more volume of work. And all people have to look at is, like, say it writes a blog post for you on, totally on brand in your voice, and you're like, wow, this is great. I just spent an hour creating this blog post, which would have normally taken me 5 or 6 hours. Then I ask you, okay, so what is your time worth? And I'm finding the average people say is $150 an hour. So if you had been writing that blog post yourself, you would have spent about $300, $600 or more in your opportunity costs in your time creating that. By doing it in the Genie, you spend 1 hour, $150 of your time, and that Genie cost might have been $5. So it costs
Oh,
you
that's awesome.
155 bucks for something that would have cost you probably more like 750. Oh, and don't forget all the time, the
Yeah.
exhaustion, the anxiety, the energy burned up when you are faced with that blank page and that blank stare, and you have to start writing something. Well, the Genie does that for you. So a lot of people don't think about what that the actual opportunity costs are in order to.
Yeah.
And then we have the other plan is the enterprise plan. It's 1,200 a month, and that's for a very large organization that maybe branding does it, locks down the brand brain, and then enables sales to use that brain, not change it, but use it to create its content, marketing to create its content, HR to create its internal communications, all of it on brand, all of it saved in the same place, all of it in this Brightsea fortress that no one else can access, no AI can access, no one online can access.
That's cool. Because it's like basically you guys have it so secure. That is so cool. Like not even like a hacker.
Nope,
Oh
nope.
wow.
And I
That's
mean, I don't
cool.
think hackers would really be interested in your brand story, so I don't think
I
we
don't
would
think so either, but
high value target for them. But no, it's completely locked down in this platform. And again, because we spent 2 years building it and have done all the prompt engineering, users don't have to think about AI. Forget it. Forget AI is even there, just speak to it like you're speaking to me, or speak to it like you are talking to another branding consultant or marketing consultant, and just you talk to it. You can talk literally to it through a microphone, you can type it in the prompts, or we have buttons that you can push throughout. But it it works with you. You don't have to answer a ton of questions to get it up to speed. It gets up to speed on reviewing your website and understanding who you are and what you do, showing that to you. It's a little bit, Jada, like mirror, mirror on the wall. How's my brand showing up for all? And it shows you that. Then you go, ooh, well, it's missing something. Well, that means it's missing on your website. Ooh, I really like how it said this. I've never thought of it that way before. It inspires you. And so that's how we price it out. Now, for each one of those levels, you get a set number of credits because that's the way AI works, token usage.
Mhm.
And our goal is to give you so much unbelievable value. You're like, well, this is, I'm right now I'm paying $20 for ChatGPT, but this thing knows me. It doesn't hallucinate. It doesn't make stuff up. It doesn't give me general crap. It gives me what I need to be able to grow my brand story. If you run out of credits in any 1 month, then you can just buy them at any level you want. $5, give me $5 more credit, $10 more credit, $50 more credit. Those credits never run out. You always have those.
Oh,
Your
cool.
monthly credits, it's a use it or lose them, because
Mhm.
we want people in there and actively building their story, because if they procrastinate, they're only hurting themselves and hurting
Right.
their people and hurting the customers they can actually serve. So we want to kind of build a fire into them and say, get going. What are you waiting for? Get ahead of your competition, and really find out what you do better than anybody in the world, and tell that story so powerfully in your unique value proposition that the genie will help you create, that it will answer the question you asked me first on. How do you compare yourself to competitors? Be uncomparable. Do not let anybody compare themselves to you, because you do things so well and so differently that you are the only choice that they can go to get what they want for what you provide.
No, you really are, because I've never heard of anything like this, and I think it's really cool. Like, I'm probably gonna go home and tell everybody in my house about it, even though they probably don't need it. But I'm like, you guys just need to check it out because it's really cool.
Yeah, check it out. Storycyclegenie.ai.
Yes,
Storycyclegenie.ai. Or they can also
I,
find the links to my website, businessofstory.com, just looking at the logo back here. So you go either
yes,
way, but that's the direct link, storycyclegenie.ai.
yeah. No, I love that. So you really do have a really interesting story. But as we wrap up, I just have a few little rapid fire questions that I want to ask you. Are you ready?
Some water first, then.
All right. So,
Oh,
what is the key to success for you?
optimism. Um,
Optimism.
my dad, who was just a brilliant, brilliant civil engineer, he would always say, and he has since passed, but he'd always say, things tend to work out. And I was just thinking
Great.
about that today when I was thinking through a couple things that we worked through, and I go, it just worked out. Like, for instance, like today, I had a jam-packed day, and we're trying to get stuff done to go and meet our new granddaughter in Austin, Texas, your beautiful town, on Friday. And I had two clients that had to move. I have one client that had to move this morning, so it bought me an hour there. And then was going to do a podcast recording this afternoon with a great guy, but he got laryngitis. And he called
Oh,
up and said, I can't, he emailed me and said, I'm sorry, I got laryngitis. I can't come on. I said, no problem. When I get back, we'll record your session. It just bought me 2 hours. And I cracked up. I go, I needed those 2 hours in the worst way. Things tend to work out. So my thing is, be optimistic and know that things tend to work out. If you get after them, if take action on them.
sorry, I was just writing that down so I could remind myself later that things work out always.
Things tend to work out. I love that word tend in there, because he's not
Mm-hmm.
saying they're always going to work out, but on the majority, they tend to work
They just
out.
didn't
So
work out.
don't
Yeah.
stress yourself too much.
Yes. Okay. And then I know you had mentioned a book earlier, but do you have a book or a podcast that you're reading or listening to right now that you'd love to share with our viewers?
Um, I listen to a lot of Joe Rogan. Only not when he's got comedians on there. He's got some really great, like interesting scientists and
Mm-hmm.
sociologists and so forth. It's kind of one of my fun go-to uh, podcasts. I am going to be doing some work with some storytelling work with an internal audit department for a very, very large national credit union. And they have asked me to kind of bone up on their audit industry and whatever. So I've been listening to a couple of the podcasts they sent me, and I just got a book that they recommended called The Ledger Storyteller, of how people in audits and working with numbers can bring context to that data through the use of story, which I'll be training them how to do it. So it's kind of opened up my world because honestly, Jade, I thought they were going to be kind of boring podcasts, but they were
Yeah.
really fascinating. The people were interesting, and it's just like, how could you take a complex, mundane subject of auditing and make it interesting? And these guys have. So that's kind of what I've been doing lately. As I mentioned earlier, I end up with 15 to 20 hours of free time because of the Story Cycle Genie that I can now really immerse myself in these other kinds of industries around storytelling that I would have never thought of really doing much research and discovery in.
Cool. Yeah, I like that. So before we get into the final question of the day, please share with our audience how they can follow you, learn more, and contact you.
Absolutely. Well, best way to contact me is just you could go on LinkedIn, Park Howell. I think I'm the only Park Howell on there. I am me. Shoot me a note. Tell me, though, I get a lot of those. Tell me that you heard me here or that Jada sent you so I know where you're coming from. That's a good place. Or you can go through my contact form at businessofstory.com. Go ahead and send me a note there. Listen to my show. Would love to have you as a subscriber. It's just called The Business of Story podcast. You can find it iTunes, Spotify, anywhere you listening to other shows. And that's probably those are the best ways to reach out, connect with me, or start learning, using our resources to help you become a more confident, consistent, and compelling communicator using story.
Awesome. Well, Park, we have finally come to that final question of the day, and it is, what is most inspiring to you today?
What is most of my granddaughter? She just showed up 3 weeks ago, and I can't wait to meet her. And to me, again, that speaks to, the optimism of youth, of rebirth. Gosh, we live in a very tumultuous world right now, and don't even get me started on the leadership of America because I don't think we're going in the right direction at all.
No.
As things are burning down around us, it's youth, it's smart young professionals like you that are going to make the difference moving forward if we can just get through these next few years. Um, and I think that's what keeps me going is the optimism of youth, the energy youth brings to it, the new thinking youth brings to problem, and the fact that things tend to work out.
Yeah, I love that. I'm actually, whenever I get off of here, I'm gonna go home to my daughter. I mean, she might actually be taking a nap when I get home, but I feel the exact same way. Yes, and hopefully your granddaughter, hopefully she still has like that new baby smell when you get there, because
Oh yeah.
that was my favorite.
Well, I'll let
Like,
you know,
oh,
Jada.
please do. Well,
Yeah.
this was definitely a great conversation. I really enjoyed hearing your story, so thank you so much for sharing it.
Well, thank you, Jada. Been a real pleasure being here.
Yes. And also, I encourage all of you who are watching to save this show and come back and watch it again later because Park really did have some great insights for business. Also, do not forget to like and subscribe to our channel so that you can get notifications every time a new conversation drops, just like this one. Thank you to everyone who joined us today, and special thank you to you, Park, for being here with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jada.